Hey everybody, welcome back to the My Bourbon Journey Whiskey Review channel and to another sample spotlight review. So today's sample spotlight review comes from Foregate Whiskey Company. This specifically is batch number 2, or what's being called the Outer Loop Orbit. So these are straight bourbon whiskeys. Mash bill on this is going to be a little bit interesting. These are going to be basically two blends. So first is a 5.5 year straight bourbon whiskey. Mash bill on that was 78% corn, 10% rye, 12% malted barley. The 12 year that was blended here was 74% corn, 18% rye, and 8% malted barley. And again, what this was those two mash bills blended and finished in an orange curacao gin cask. So a really unique kind of blend and finishing aspect to this one. This is not something I've ever had before. I have tried this sample that was sent to me prior to this, but before that had really never run across anything that was that unique. So again, specifically the Outer Loop Orbit batch number 2, proof is 120.1 proof or 60.05% ABV. It is bottled at barrel proof and non-chill filtered, so a lot of things going for it just from that standpoint. It is non-age stated. However, again, it is a blend of a 5.5 and 12 year straight bourbon whiskey. MSRP on this is right around that $200 price point. So, all right, so why don't we kind of go ahead and we'll kind of get into this, and we'll try to get through one of these. So as you can see color-wise, hopefully you can see that okay. A nice kind of lightish or medium kind of amber color to that. So really nice. So all right, let's get into the nose here. And you can see, and as I move this around, it's really clinging to the glass nicely, and that has a lot to do with the non-chill filtration, allowing it to basically keep a lot of those fatty acids in there, remain a little bit more viscous, more oily, which really all leads to a better flavor, profile when you're tasting your whiskey. So, all right, let's get into the nose here. So, as you'd expect, with this being an orange curacao gin cask, immediately it's a very botanical type of nose. Some of that underlying orange, curacao orange kind of zest note there, kind of a little bit in the background. Not nearly as strong or as heavy as I thought it would be. But very botanical. There's a nice like kind of pine note to it. A little bit of a kind of a light black pepper note to it. Nice wood, that barrel influence that's there. So I think some of that 12 year kind of really starting to come out in that a little bit with some of the oak presence. Really botanical. Probably the most, or one of the more unique noses I've really ever kind of smelled before. Really nothing else to kind of compare it to, but the more it kind of opens up a little bit, that blend again of the kind of the botanical or like a gin type of note, kind of, blending with that orange curacao is really kind of starting to soften up a little bit. Not quite as kind of pungent as it was when I first put it in the glass. And I did allow this to open up for about 10 minutes. So that let a little bit of that alcohol kind of evaporate off of there, which is, again, something I try to do with higher proof whiskeys, anyway. And again, this 120.1 proof is something that probably should be given a little bit of time to kind of open up. So yeah, but really nice and botanical. So again, we've got a little bit of that, the botanical, the pine, even maybe a slight bit of like a little bit of a citrus note, like a eucalyptus type of note, but very botanical with some of that underlying orange zest, orange curacao type of note to it. It's definitely some of that pine there. Really nice nose. Very unique. So, all right. So the most important part. Let's see what we've got on the profile on this. Cheers. So again, for this, right away, the palate and the nose match almost identically. Again, very, very botanical forward, that gin aspect, that little bit of that orange zest, that orange kind of profile to it. Some of that pine kind of comes through a little bit. Still some of that, like a little bit of a black or maybe white pepper type of note. So you get that right there on the mid to the back of the palate. Coats the mouth really, really well. I mean, having, you know, this being non-chill filtered, barrel proof, a lot of things that it really has going for it from a standpoint of those things not being stripped out of the whiskey. So that's really nice in itself. Again, really nice oak note to it. Good quality, you know, bourbon whiskey that's there. Just a bit, I would say, dominated by the botanical, and again, some of that underlying, you know, orange aspect to it. But still really nice flavor profile, very unique. I guess, you know, with the price point on this, if you wanted to use it in a cocktail, you know, you could. You know, it'd be a little bit of a pricey one, but I think this would be a tremendous whiskey to kind of experiment or try, you know, in a cocktail. I would imagine with the flavor profile that it has, a bartender or somebody who really knows what they're doing regarding crafting cocktails could probably do, you know, absolute wonders with a whiskey like this. So. Yeah, still just some of that very botanical orange, nice oak presence to it. Black pepper kind of comes out a little bit more in it after 2 or 3 more sips. Still nice underlying bourbon notes there that are there. The oak from probably more of the 12-year bourbon that's there start to come through a little bit. Nice oak that's there. Begins to dry out a little bit, and I would say most of the where I'm picking up a lot of the flavor on this is mid to the back of the palate. Kind of wants to coat the mouth really well, but for me, a lot of this, in terms of where I'm tasting it, is all mid to the back of the palate. I guess regarding finish on this, I mean, it's nice and long. It's leaving a lot of those same type of notes that I've been describing all along. It is still finishing, again, a little bit dry. Some of that black pepper note kind of remains. Some nice oak that's there. You know, and you're still getting those underlying botanical notes with some of that orange from the orange curacao that's there. So, again, very, very unique and interesting profile. So that's one thing that I really like that 4Gate is doing, is that each release that they do is something very different and unique. So they're not really trying to be the same or consistent. They want to be putting things out that are going to be a little bit different, maybe kind of push the envelope a little bit with things, and that's something that I really appreciate. So, you know, kudos to them for trying to do some different things and really kind of, you know, hit on a lot of these points. So again, this is going to be from 4Gate Whiskey Company, batch number 2. The Outer Loop Orbit, again coming in at 120.1 proof or 60.05% ABV. So I have to say thanks to the guys over at 4Gate Whiskey Company for sending the sample for me to do a review of. As always, if you'd like to support or contribute to the channel, you can through my Patreon page, which I'll have linked in the description below. As always, you can follow me on Instagram at My Bourbon Journey. Same thing on Twitter, My Bourbon Journey there as well. And then with that being said, and like I say, it's about the journey and not the destination. Cheers.